harder they pop.
Oh, yeah.
Look at those skates.
And
Look
it's
at
the
those
thing,
skates.
is like Cyclops also moves with his powers.
Yeah, oh yeah, everybody.
Yeah, you can do that, girl.
Yeah, start
She's
doing
learning.
it. Oh,
She's
yeah,
learning.
Look at those spirals.
I'm so proud
Take
of you.
that, Mojo. Double jubes.
The power of Jubilee.
Oh, how 80s.
You nasty glitches.
Boom. Oh,
Damn, I just
nasty
realized.
glitches.
The alien. I love that. I'm obsessed with it. Look at how long her hair is in the back.
Good.
Holy girl, losing your powers have never looked better on someone.
Oh, I thought she had horse
Also, do you
legs
think
for a
she's just
second.
normal? Shut the
He made her into a centaur.
This is real spirit stallion of the similar.
No,
Wait,
yeah.
are these robotic horses?
They always blow east.
We're listening so deep to
I
this.
know.
Because she controls
You can't-
any room.
Yeah,
she
she
controls
does.
everything.
She commands the elements and our emotions.
God damn.
Welcome back to the after show here on the Breakroom. This time for Xmen 97, Episode 4, Motendo / Life Death Part 1. Don't adjust your TV sets. Yes, you're seeing 2 Jubilees. We hit the start button on an episode that sees the return of Mojo. Plus, we continue to watch Storm suffer as she tries to regain her powers with the help of Forge. But now she faces a new threat in the form of the Adversary. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, she always takes her coffee with 3 floating spoonfuls of sugar. It's Jessica Clemons.
And still, I couldn't conceive anything as perfect as you.
Hey, Jessica's pretty torn up after this episode.
You don't understand.
She's in love with Forge.
I need me a man. Like, and I don't care if he may be fake at the end of the episode.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I don't care.
Speaking of Forge, he whips up a mean bowl of his papa's bison chili. It's Tom Michelsen.
Hey guys, it's true, and also I've done a lot of other horrible things that we'll also talk about.
Oh, no.
Don't worry, we'll get to that as
We're
well.
not going to get into Forge's military things.
I thought you were about to say horny things.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, you know what?
That too?
Me too for Forge.
That too.
No.
That too.
With
We
the-
all are horny
Forge?
for Forge.
Jessica, the horny police are going to be out this episode, okay? You can't get away with it. You can't get away with it.
You got 2 of the hottest people in the show eating bison chili.
Oh yeah, in their own
Chili?
cabin by themselves.
I mean,
It's written in the stars for romantic comedy.
that cut to her riding the horse was intentional, I think. Mm-hmm. So what is going on with the Adversary, and what is Forge's backstory? And did Cyclops and Jean really have to skip Jubilee's birthday? Rude. We'll get into all of our post-episode questions, but first, Jessica, kick us off with a little bit of a recap.
Anything for you, perfect Brandon.
Oh, thank you.
We get a classic animated show format with Motendo and Life Death Part 1 being 15-minute episodes within our 30-minute block. What a throwback. You guys remember being young with those 15-minute windows?
I'm still young.
This is true. When I heard that dial-up tone, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't get that
Never-
reference.
no idea.
Didn't
No.
get it.
Okay, 1994 is now the new 1968. In the very meta Motendo, Jubilee celebrates her 18th birthday by fighting for her life inside a video game. After Magneto shuts down the group trip to the arcade, she and Roberto get sucked into the Xmen, The Rise of Jubilee, a video game based on her memories. Who else could have created this but Mojo, the alien TV producer from Mojo World, who puts mutants through grueling challenges for entertainment. After some bad ratings, he's pivoting to the video games, hoping to ship intergalactically to suck up everyone's energy via their brains. Yummy.
Yummy brains. Yummy brains.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
You know, my mother warned me about all these video games.
Now we know why. Now we know why.
With no help from Roberto, do something already, my guy. Jubilee crushes the levels from her past, enjoying reliving her experiences. But after Magneto almost bests them, a mysterious figure that's been helping from the sideline reveals herself to be an older Jubilee. Abscissa is her name, a digital copy of herself that survived Mojo's beta testing and has evaded deletion. And she's voiced by the original Jubilee voice actor, Allison Court. What a fun little cameo.
Yeah.
We get the big moral of this episode. Although it's nice to know how every stage ends, that's not living. Jubilee has to grow up. She can't live in the past forever. Mojo appears as the final boss. He's been getting bigger throughout the episode, sucking up all those brainwaves. But he's no match for the team of Jubilees, and like one tiny little shot from Roberto that gets him a kiss in the end. It's stolen valor, my guy. He barely did anything.
He overcame his fears.
He shot one thing.
He overcame his fears.
He just turned into an entire.
You gotta do more to earn my girl Jubilee.
Yeah, that's why you're being weird. You're being a dad to
I'm
her.
being
She doesn't need
protective.
that. She doesn't need that.
She needs a better man.
Make
She's
up your
18.
mind. You were in love with her, and now you're trying to make her your daughter. What's going on?
No.
You pervert.
No.
Go to a horny jail.
No, I'm not. I'm being protective.
Abscissa's available, Brandon. It's fine.
Yeah, I like Abscissa. I like her white hair. The two escape the game, and we see Abscissa disappear. Safe with their lives, Jubilee and Roberto kiss, and literal sparks fly. Plasmoids all over the place.
Well, that's when we fast forward, old VHS style, to Life Death Part 1. Storm and Forge search for a way to reverse the effects of the Executioner's gun from Episode 2. When we see them bonding with each other and sharing dinner, eating chili, riding horses, and finally trying to find a way to reverse the effects, we get another heartbreaking scene of Storm unable to use her powers. This is when Forge reveals why it's so important for him to fix Storm, is that he had a hand in creating the devices that depowered the mutants.
Oh, buddy.
The gun, the collar, all of it. He refers to a scientist in Scotland, William Adler, maybe, from the original series that was also Mystique sometimes. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Who wasn't Mystique? Or who was Mystique not?
Good point, good point.
Who was Mystique not? Can you tell that I'm tired and I watched this at 1 in the morning? Storm feels betrayed, but Forge reveals his feelings for her. She slaps him across the face. Let's act it out. Let's act it
What did the five fingers say to the face?
Slap!
I wasn't joking when I was gonna slap. I was
She wasn't
serious.
joking.
She slaps him and seemingly takes a horse into the night. As any girl would.
Yeah. You get upset, just take a horse into the night.
Take him into the night.
It's just very funny because it's like any horse girl movie from 2003. This is what happens. They get in a fight and they ride into the night on their horse. But somehow she's returned to Forge's house and an owl she's seen before appears in front of her, now demonic, calling itself the Adversary. What the hell's going on?
What is going on?
What is
Who knows? All right, well, that was a great show, guys. Thanks, bye. Oh, wait, no, we have ideas.
What's going on?
Okay.
Before we get into our biggest questions from this episode, what were some of your favorite moments in the episode? I know my favorite moment.
I think you know my favorite moment.
Your favorite moment was anything with Forge?
No. Yes. Okay. Let's be obvious. Yes, Jessica Clemons saw Forge in Storm and went, "Oh no, this should be me." I'm living through Storm right now. In her final moments of not giving 2 Fs, I said, respect. I would have folded. I'd have been like, you know what? Yeah, everyone has a pass. I'm not gonna. It's okay. Like, I don't care that my powers are gone.
But you gave me shelter, you gave me horse.
You gave me chili. Horse chili.
I am there.
I'm ready to go.
Is she justified in her anger there in that moment, you think?
I think yes and no. I understand, like, if you lost your powers, you're thinking through, like, even though Storm is supposed to be very logical, I think it's still, like, she suffered.
Yeah.
And a lot at the hands of what happened with the government. Like, none of this would have been a thing if that meeting was never called. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like, we can't trust DC. We can't trust the government. They don't want us even existing. Why would you make this for them? Because you made this, you gave them
Right.
the blueprints to take away my powers.
Yeah.
So she's just like, it's miss whatever anger, misplaced.
Misdirected.
Misplaced. But it's also like, yeah, you Forge, but I
Yeah,
mean,
you
he was in
shouldn't
a
have
different
even
place.
started
You-
drawing
But
he
it's
was in a different
interesting that they
place.
made the distinction of like, no, I didn't make them. Adler did, but I had some plans because they could have easily been like, look, I made them. I was desperate, and it could have just like, I'm sorry, but they didn't do that.
We know that's what happened in Avatar with the air balloon. And
You're
then
right, you're
what
right.
did the Fire Nation do? They started making airplanes and coming in, and everyone was like, "How do they got flying airplanes?" Regardless,
But we forgave him.
Agreed.
you said. I wanted to say what my real.
Sorry.
That is clearly my favorite part, but a real stealer for the show for me is Mojo. I think Mojo was
Mojo
very
was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I really like how they reimagined Mojo for this. I sometimes find him annoying in like the old cartoons.
Yeah.
But you know, he was fun here and like very scary and weird and gross. He was always the best action figure too. Like what a
Yes.
fun action figure.
Would he go from skinny?
No, he did. I don't
So that
remember
was
him
interesting
getting
because
skinny
I don't remember
in the
that.
old
So I was
one.
like, oh, is that from the comics that I missed? But yeah, like him like literally changing size from feeding off of
fun.
all of this stuff.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that battle. I love seeing like the 2 Jubilees really honing their powers. Love seeing that.
I loved
That was
the
fun. That was awesome.
side-scrolling homage to the arcade game
Yeah.
that we got right there. Because my second favorite X-Men is Colossus because of that game. Because you could run and do his super and it went, and he had this like dome around him. Yeah, that like crushed everybody.
I think
So that
that
was
was-
my favorite part, is all the flashbacks.
I like those little flashbacks of even like the most annoying part of like they can move like an inch up and line themselves up with the actual like villain that they're fighting. And I was like, damn. I was
Exactly.
like, I hate this game.
Well, let's get into some of our big questions from this episode, starting with the ending there. Who is the adversary? We'll start with that big cliffhanger, right? Storm sees this owl and it becomes this like demonic creature. It bites Forge. In the comics, the adversary is like an ancient mystical being, possibly demonic. It was also known to the Cheyenne tribe as like a trickster, being bent on taking over the earth. You know, classic demon kind of ancient evil stuff, right? The character's more of like a Forge antagonist than like a Storm one. It does present itself post the Life Death storyline in a story that sets off like a whole series of events that involves a portal to the humanless dimension, Forge and Storm becoming like Adam and Eve type figures, etc. Very comic stuff.
Oh my
really
God.
intense comics, analogous stuff, okay? Well, the show probably isn't going to get into all that, given that Life Death Part 2 will probably be like another 15-minute episode. What do we think the role that the adversary is going to play here? Is this like just going to be part of this storyline? Is this like a bigger for the whole season thing?
I think it's just for this life death episode because I think it's gonna hold like a mirror up to Storm and be like, I feed off misery, and she's gonna be
Right.
like, oh, I need to stop being miserable about this.
And she used to
Yeah.
love myself or something. Yeah, I look at it as something for her to have to overcome, and like maybe Forge's device did help heal her and get her powers back, but she still has that mental block, and this is a way for her to actually overcome it, defeat it, and then be her true bestest self. or
The
something like
mental
that.
block, a classic trope in X-Men comics when they get depowered, right? That happened after M Day when the Scarlet Witch takes away a million mutants' powers, right? Some big mutants. Listen, I loved that storyline, but they really were only mean to Jubilee. They take away, Jubilee was like the only one who really lost her powers. There was a couple
I
other.
remember Blob lost his shit.
Well, then things happened where like Cyclops lost his
Quicksilver,
powers, right? And then Emma Frost gets in his brain and is like, "Oh, you didn't really lose your powers. You just have like a mental block because of the trauma of M Day or something like that." And he's like, "Oh yeah, great!" Boop, and he starts shooting lasers again. Right?
I was thinking about Spider-Man 2 even, where Tobey Maguire's like, yeah, so I keep falling in my dream, and it's a mental block.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, you're
The mental block is preventing the powers. Like that is like a classic move. But yeah, I think the adversary is saying like, I feed off of your sadness and your depression. Like that is a big thing, right? She's gonna have to like move past the sadness.
And I like how it was somebody new-ish. I mean, new for the animated series, because when I saw the red eyes, I was like, "Oh, Shadow King!" Like that was
my
villain
first
from
thought
her
too,
past that's been in the animated series, and so it was interesting. I was, "Oh, this is someone new. This is not." I was still thinking, I was like, maybe this is Shadow King as an owl, but then it was like the adversary. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we're talking with someone."
And I guess there is some connection to the Shadow King and the adversary. A lot of these ancient evils are all kind of like
in your mind
mixed together. They're all part of the same capital E evil, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, so do we think? Because one thing I was wondering is the chili scene and the horses? Is that real? Is she in some kind of mind?
I didn't see her
prison
take more than one bite, so I don't think it is. 'Cause if it was good enough,
If it was real chili, she would have eaten the whole chili.
That's true.
Someone
who could invent anything, and he probably made the best chili ever, and she didn't eat any.
And outside she went, but inside she went, oh no. Oh no,
This is fake.
right through. Yeah, this is plastic.
Well, that is a great question, right? Because like how much of what we saw of part 1 of Life Death is real, right? Because the adversary is able to take the form of things and kind of create this false reality. Maybe none of this Forge was real. Was this Forge always the adversary?
In the most respectful way, the only reason that would make me irritated, other than I'm shipping these two, is the fact that like we kind of already did that with Madeline,
right?
And Jean.
Yeah.
So it's like to do it again, and I could. No, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I'm trying to think of other routes you could take that don't feel like the Madeline and Jean situation, but it's like no, because at the end of the day, this isn't a real person.
It was
she's
interesting
a real person.
because she even depowered Storm had a line about the wind here is blowing only one direction. That's weird and blah blah blah. So like she knows something's up, and is that still part of this mental prison? Maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Probably.
Maybe Forge. So maybe to make it different than the Madeline thing, maybe Forge is trapped in there with her too. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like he brought her back to the cabin and didn't know that
he doesn't
they're both
know
stuck
that
in there.
he's in a spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
they're
that's
both
true.
And maybe they could live like a long time in there without even knowing, and that's why he was able to say "I love you" after what seems like one afternoon.
And that makes sense too for like Forge was miserable for a long time.
Yeah.
He was feeding off maybe Forge, and then it allowed Forge to leave to go get Storm, a more miserable person right now, to bring her back. And that way,
that's great.
Because I could also, that's the thing, is like, Storm noticed the winds changing because that's her whole thing. She's like, I can notice this. Forge can just create anything from his mind. So he's like, I didn't know I was actually stuck in anything. I just create stuff that I see.
We know he's living with sadness and guilt, right? Because he feels bad about his tech being used to make the collars.
But it's been so long that it's like, it's probably just not, it's becoming whatever. He's like, yeah, that was my past.
Yeah. But he's just like living with the guilt, and it's like piling up and making him feel bad. And yeah, he's drawn the adversary, and now he's pulled in Storm. Another sad thing, because the adversary wants to eat.
It's hungry.
She ain't going hungry tonight.
Just like
That's right.
Mojo.
Do we think Forge is poisoned at all? If Forge is like trapped there too, we saw the adversary like bite Forge, like that, classic Xmen style, like something spreading inside of you.
Yeah, it's probably, he's either poisoned or they're gonna manipulate him later.
Right.
Like in the second episode, it'll be like, well, here's my minion, and it's Forge like, meep, meep. This
like Storm will have to fight him, or
that's what we know Forge has been taken over.
That's a full robot mode, not just hand and foot. Like,
I'm not tired, but I am something. But no, he's probably poisoned. That's the whole thing too. Is like he's probably poisoned, and she's gonna like fight all of them off on her own, and then somehow they're gonna have to like fix him, maybe bring him back to
He's gonna have to talk her through how to build some device that unpoisons. He's gonna be like, now get the continuum transfunctioner and insert it into USB slot 3. And she's like, what is this?
Or she brings him back to the mansion, and Beast works on him and can't find another cure because he's a bad doctor. 2 for 2 now for not hiding
like,
things.
I'm a geneticist. How am I building a time machine and all this stuff?
I don't know what I'm doing.
I want to give Beast the benefit of the doubt, 100%. But right now, my dude, you have messed up twice. Hey, you have not solved.
To Beast's credit, he took over a Sentinel as like a Megazord, and within seconds, and he found a space to do it, which you're not supposed to be able to. So he
but
did
if
that.
Forge can find, which I guess that's like spiritual versus medicine, of like. Forge can find a cure for it's not permanent, and then he's just like, well, in my science, it was. It looks like God wins again.
You win again, God.
You win again, God.
That's when Nightcrawler comes in. He's like, I told you so. I believe in God.
Look at my carving.
Looks like old Nightcrawler was right. Bam, 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 bam. Well, we got more questions about this episode and where the series is going, but first we want to thank our sponsors today, and that includes Kalshi. Kalshi is the first legal financial exchange in the US where you can bet on any event, which means for us, betting on things like Rotten Tomatoes scores, like Joker 2. There's a trailer, it's gonna come out next week. You can bet right now on what you think the Rotten Tomatoes score will be for that movie. If you think it'll be above 90, right? If you think it will be, you can bet for shares of that. You can buy those shares. If the price of those shares go up or down, you can sell them before the Rotten Tomatoes score even comes out. If it is above 90, you make a little profit,
Ooh,
you can bet, but it's not just Rotten Tomatoes scores. They have bets you can place on things like politics, the climate, video games, TV shows, more. You can sign up by going to Kalshi.com/breakroom, and the first 500 traders will get a free $20 credit. We also want to shout out One Shot Energy. Jessica's got one right now. One Shot Choose. Boop, boop, boop.
Nice.
Whoa! Thank goodness she
First
didn't choke to
take.
death on that.
I know, it could have slid to
They
the
could
back of
have
my
gone.
throat.
That's dangerous. Don't ever do that
Don't
unless
do
you
that,
have
don't
3
do that.
friends around who can help you.
Or one friend knows Heimlich. I know Heimlich.
Yeah, everyone should know.
I'm gonna run away.
I know Heimlich from A Bug's Life. Is that different?
Yeah, that's different.
Oh, I love some watermelon.
Actually,
It's
that's,
so
that's the
delicious.
same. That makes
I'm a
you
beautiful butterfly.
gag anything up. So
Dang, dude. One Shot Energy Chews are healthy and convenient energy boosting supplement candy for everybody. For everybody. They make energy chews, focus chews, and voice drops for when your throat needs a little TLC. Each energy chew has 75 milligrams of caffeine to give you a boost that kicks in as you chew. Focus chews help with concentration and have B, C, D, and E vitamins. And the voice drops are yuzu flavored with marshmallow, honey, and peppermint. They're a huge game changer if you have a job where you have to talk all day long, or if you just talk all day long at your job, whether it's required or not. Some people do that. This could have been an email, this whole conversation. Get away from my desk.
Hey, what did you think of Xmen last night? It was great.
Yeah. Email it to me. I don't even have a fucking conversation about it. All of One Shot Energy's products are plant-based and naturally sweetened without a bunch of fillers and chemicals. Get started with One Shot Energy today by going to oneshotenergy.com/new rockstars for 10% off your order. And again, we want to remind you to check out nerdriot.shop. We've got a ton of X-Men inspired designs right now. You can check them out. Here are some graphics of them. Beautiful. I shouldn't have called out that we're rolling the graphics, but look how beautiful they are.
Ooh.
Grabbing some merch is the best way to support the channel, and there's tons of great designs on there. And keep an eye out for some Breakroom merch coming soon. Jessica, I don't know what it looks like.
Oh, you don't know what it looks like?
No, I haven't seen any of this Breakroom merch.
That's crazy. I would not look down at your chest if I was you.
Oh. Well, I have been working out. That's nerdriot.shop. Okay.
Get out. Get out of the goddamn stage.
Let's get into some more of questions, thoughts around the episode. Mojo has a great bit where he's running through the possible titles for shows about the current X-Men, saying that they're all drama and decidedly not X-Men. And the show appears to be tackling some heavier themes overall, like psychologically. What else do we think we're going to see in this series, you know? They keep having these episodes where like one character is kind of pulled into a new reality, or all the characters are dropped in a new reality. We saw it last episode with Madeline Pryor making like hell, basically. Mm-hmm. This episode with Motendo, and also with like the Adversary kind of pulling Storm into a dream thing. We saw like Jean, or it turns out it was Madeline Pryor, but go into Henry Gyrick's mind, and that was like a weird
like premonition.
Yeah, like they keep doing that every episode. Do we think we're going to see more characters have this kind of like crisis of faith?
Yeah. Don't touch my plastics. Greenhouse gases. No, I think. Wait. So, yes and no. I think it's more, instead of like going into a different realm, it's more about just like every villain is super metaphysical,
right,
or just like spirits, spirit based. We have a lot of shadow men.
They're going to other dimensions. Yeah, a lot of like darkness. Yeah, like
that's what I used to call
Sinister came out of the shadows and like disappeared into the shadows.
Yeah. And so I'm like, it's a lot of characters that can literally pull you into different realms.
Right.
And I think we will absolutely be getting that with the Adversary. We're already in one with the Adversary.
Right.
If we're gonna get any more characters, I think it's hard because like the only other one that's left is probably Wolverine, right?
To get one of these stories. I mean, the next episode's called Remember It.
Which is Gambit.
Which we think is like going to be a Gambit-centric episode. It's a phrase he's uttered many times.
Yeah.
Maybe
which
going
I
into
hope
his
so,
past.
because like that's one thing they've said since the jump is like this whole Magneto Rogue Gambit thing, and I'm like, we have not addressed that yet. I want to see what's going on with this. That's one thing that's really fun, is that there's so many different characters, you can focus on different people. So maybe I'm hoping everyone will get their chance to shine and get a little episode or something.
Yeah, I mean, they basically they pulled they wrote Gene and Scott out of this episode.
They did, yeah.
Like you know, famously with like sitcoms, right? They'll have episodes that don't feature every character, and you could save a little money because you're not paying the actor for that day. I mean, you pay the voice actors, right? But like, you could have drawn Gene and Scott just in the
like
background.
around,
They literally do not have them show up in the
Because they
episode at
have
all.
3 episodes.
That's true. That's
also, what I do like about this episode is like what's going on. Mojo is basically the same character. Not the same character, but like doing the same things as the Adversary is.
Right.
Where they both feed off of different materials that you need the X-Men for, or the mutants for. And I'm like, okay, so these kind of mirror each other. So if we have Gambit's episode and that love triangle, it'll probably be the other 15-minute episode will be Jean, Cyclops, and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So,
but I am hoping you're totally right. They already had too much Cyclops and Jean in the first episode. But to end on that last episode with them staring at each other in this broken room, and like, what do we do now? The next would be like, oh, they went to Genosha. So anyway, here's Jubilee. I was like, I think that's the sign of a good show. Is it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, you want to know.
You want to come back and see what's going on.
Is Wolverine with them in Genosha?
No, we saw him. He was sitting there. He was at the breakfast table.
Oh yeah, he was at the breakfast table. He was smiling.
Like this Rogaine guy or whatever he calls a beast.
He's just calling them in Genosha every 20 seconds. Oh, what are you guys up to?
What are you guys doing?
Are you guys in bed?
You guys
have different
yet?
rooms,
Yeah,
right?
break
You're
up
not
yet,
technically
bub?
married, right?
Oh my god.
We be a throuple yet?
The fact that they had that part where it was like Jean and Cyclops divorce court or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess they could just get divorced. And I think they are just gonna get divorced. And it'll be really sad.
So I think some of that was really fun too, because watching it, you know, I tried to watch it a little bit again after being up 1 a.m. last night watching it. But I was looking at it, I was like, I think that's a commentary on, you know, people watching the show being, why is there so much soap opera-ness in this? Like, I want my X-Men to just be, you know, like Berserker Barrage and Optic Blast, but like, but really that's been some of the best stuff in this show.
Yeah.
Is the you know, the about the characters and their lives together. So to say like, oh, the X-Men, you know, you're the X-Men Jubilee, just have fun and shoot fireworks, but the stuff about, you know, relationships and you know, being a family, don't worry about that. When really I think that's what the show is trying to be like. That is what the X-Men's about.
Yeah.
It's funny to have that commentary when they wrote this a couple years ago, right?
Yeah,
The show had not been out
that's what
yet.
I was thinking. Like,
and like,
it's
I
like
wonder if
something new.
in the writers' room they realized like all of these stories are great, but they're very intense
Yeah.
and like psychological and like about their feelings. Like we
People
need
are
to have
gonna
some like
complain
action.
about this, yeah.
yeah. I wonder if they were almost making a joke of themselves, like,
Yeah.
oh, we've overwritten some of these episodes. We can't forget to have like fun action set pieces. You know,
I'm
making a
surprised-
cartoon, making something that children can enjoy, as well as like elder millennials trying to recapture
Yeah.
their youth, right?
I
Like,
thought it was gonna end with, you know, Jubilee and Roberto kissing, and I was like, oh, okay, this is just a light. Then all of a sudden we got the Storm stuff. I was like, oh, we're heavy again.
Yeah.
It's heavy again.
I just told Brandon, I was like, when I was watching the Jubilee and Roberto stuff, I was like, oh, this is really sweet. I love this episode. It's really fun. And then when I was like, I kept checking the time. I was like, I can't have this end. I was like, I need you guys to figure
it
this
kept
shit out
fading
right
to
now.
black. And I was like, if it ends
Yeah,
right here,
yeah.
I'm gonna be
I
so
said,
pissed.
stop this.
Yeah.
Stop it now. Kiss him on the lips.
I command you.
I
to kiss
command
him
you.
on the lips.
Omega level. Leg out.
Wings, push him towards me.
Push him towards me.
these fucking birds are messing with me.
Oh, I love her in those white overalls. Okay, sorry, that was another thing. But
very
if there
true.
is a character that is gonna have that crisis, it's got to be the Wolverine part. We didn't explore that. It's funny because the writers write the episode, they shoot it, and they didn't anticipate everyone's reation to like certain
Right.
characters.
Sure, yeah.
And for me personally, I need to get into Morph. Like I'm like
I need
that.
to get into Morph, too.
That
Yeah.
like everyone's little thing that happened. Was it Mr. Sinister? Well, when. It was like Wolverine in the shower, but then the person was like, the voiceover was like, you know what you are. And I
Right.
was like, damn. I was like, someone talk about this. And I was like, this person was trapped in a hell with Sinister for so long. I need to explore this
And the
more.
fact that they've added that little part in the intro of the show with Morph
Yes,
trying to shoot,
yeah,
shit,
shoot him.
that just shows how important I think that character is to the show and maybe moving
Yeah.
forward. And that's one part that's never changed. They always alter the
Yeah.
intro a little bit here and there.
And I keep seeing
Yeah.
it happen. I don't want Morph to go through more shit, but if it gives me more backstory, because I think I'm one of the maybe 5% of people that watch the original series way out of order. I watched the first full season, then afterwards I just started going crazy.
Right.
Everyone told me not to watch the 5th season. You told me not to. I'm
It's
joking.
not, it's
I'm
not
joking.
great. It's not their fault. It's not.
But I wanna
they,
see-
They got their budgets cut.
I
Yeah.
want to see Morph. I need more.
I think they'll do
I need
a
that crisis.
Morph background for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, I know that they go into Morph's experience with Mr. Sinister in the original series. How do you think they'll showcase that in this new iteration of the
I think there's a good chance Sinister returns in this season, and
Has to.
they kind of deal with it there maybe a little bit more, or it could happen in the second season. You know, they knew they were able to write 2 seasons ahead of time before this first season premiered. So like I think they have the freedom to be a little patient.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that what's going to happen is they might be haunted by Sinister. Maybe Sinister won't even really be there. He'll be in the shadows. They'll be seeing it. They'll be seeing him in their mind all the time, but not necessarily actually there. And that's how they're going to be haunted by Sinister.
It's so sad because I'm like, I don't want them to go through that trauma, but I think that will be their like, not the trauma is not their arc, but I think the final boss, Morph, is going to defeat Sinister.
Yeah.
And that'll be the closing for, not the closing,
great.
but like thank God this person cannot harm anyone ever again.
Yeah,
Yes, which please. Yeah.
And it'll be so insane to see it be Morph because it's like Jean Grey got abducted, duplicated, and like
Phoenix,
and then
yeah.
Cable got like forced into a goo
Right.
and now is like trauma ridden for the rest of the like Mr. Sinister has messed up not just the ones we've seen but everyone's life for like a century, and then here comes Morph able to stop them, and I'm
That would
like,
be great.
And we know in the comics when you die, you're dead forever.
Is
Yep.
that true?
Never
It's
come
true.
back.
I think
No
you're
one's ever
lying
come back.
to
No one's ever come
me.
back. All right, let's talk. Here's another question for you, fine folks. Genosha. They bring it up every episode. You know, I would argue that nothing good ever happens on Genosha, or it'll be good for a little while and then things go bad. Okay, we didn't really touch on it much in the recap, but Cyclops and Jean, you know, they're helping to get Genosha accepted into the United Nations. That's why they're not there for Jubilee's birthday. Not fair. They should have skipped it. Sorry. But you know they're hinting at Genosha so much. You know, it's part of Jubilee's memory because she was trapped there with those collars that Forge helped invent. So I think Genosha is going to be a big point of this series. It may be part of that like 3-part finale, right? The last 3 episodes. It's not going to go well, right? I mean, there's no way it works out.
I don't think
it never
so.
works out for the mutants on Genosha.
No, it never does. But and what's interesting that I remembered, I remember this morning is that the very first time we see Genosha in the animated show, their Cable is there, and he's in the jungles, and he's like a freedom fighter who's taking them on. And so it's interesting that Scott and Jean are there. I wonder if that could be a way they tie in why Cable was there, because they don't talk about Cable being a time traveler. They don't talk about any of that in the original series. Cable's just there, and then the people running the plant's like, there's this guy, this mercenary who's taking down our plant, and it's Cable. So if not in that way, I mean, Genosha's definitely going to come into play, but I think it'd be interesting to see if they explain how or why Cable was there, and even battling in Genosha.
What bad things are going to happen to Genosha?
Well, this is a bit of a spoiler, I guess, if you don't want to know. In the comics, there's a situation that involves Cassandra Nova, who we believe is going to be part of the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine movie. The sibling of Charles Xavier that they battled in the womb. Famous fetus punch.
Fetus punch.
She's able to use some wild sentinels to like basically create a genocide of mutants on Genosha, and 16 million mutants wind up dying on Genosha. It's a big plot point in the comics in the last few years, and kind of sets back like the mutant cause a bit. So they could be leading to that, because Eric Voss did an interview with one of the creators of the show. They were talking about like, in the past they used storylines that were in the comics to kind of like inform the stories on the show. And they've done that. They continue to do that. And they kind of hinted that they are willing to do it with more modern stories too. Bring them in. Having, Sunspot is an old character. He was invented in
New Mutants.
He appeared in like the 1980s, I believe, in the New Mutants. But like, I think he came to more prominence more modernly in the comics. So like, even using him the way they're using him makes me think like, yeah, they're gonna pull in some more modern stuff, right? They've shown Magic. As like a character, right? Who's like kind of more recent, more popular in like the New Mutants and stuff like that. So I think they are leading to a big event like that.
Right.
Now Eric's kind of also made an argument that like this could be a weird timeline that like things have gone wrong. We're seeing like the darkest timeline for these X-Men, and it's gonna get retconned at some point. Like they might kind of restart. That's why they're willing to put these characters down these very dramatic paths. I don't necessarily advocate for that. I would love to just see this all play out, how it plays out. It'd be very interesting, but I don't know. It does fear me that they're going to go to Genosha, because it just does not go well, guys. It never goes well.
But yeah, that's a good point, because like the stories they've been adapting so far, like the Trial of Magneto, Pride, those are like 80s, and it's kind of like they're almost going in order of the old series. So for them they could easily jump ahead and pull something from the last 10 years, like Messiah Complex or all that
Krakoa,
stuff.
can we see Krakoa? There's hints at Egg all the time. They mention Egg's name.
Yeah.
We think that's maybe Egg on a poster in the background of the video game.
Where is Genosha again?
It's northeast of Madagascar, on
Yeah.
the eastern coast of Africa and the Indian.
I thought you were gonna say
They're in
Madripoor, which
Africa?
I'm like, oh well.
It's off the
Africa?
It's off the coast of Africa. I don't know if
in
it's
the Indian
How
Ocean.
close is it to Wakanda?
well, kind of like in the middle of the continent.
He's doing the research. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That's insane that if Battle World happens, they only take Genosha and Wakanda, and the rest of Earth is black. They take New Asgard.
They take all the fake places.
Yeah, they take all the fake places.
Sokovia,
They're like, New York, you're fine.
Madripoor.
San Francisco, you're fine.
You're fine. We
Madripoor,
don't
get
need
your
you.
ass over here.
We don't need you.
You win.
We don't need you.
Sokovia, get back out of the ground.
Yeah, pick yourself back up and let's go.
Pick yourself. Oh, God damn it.
So Wakanda has been depicted as being in East Africa. Okay. So, and then Genosha will be an island off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, a little bit away.
Yeah. Jubilee also says something to Absissa, kind of like a throwaway line, but it really caught my ear where she says like, Absissa's giving her life lesson of like, you got to live your life. You can't live in the past or whatever. And Jubilee kind of says, so Magneto was right. Which the phrase "Magneto was right" has been used a lot in the comics of mutants who like align with Magneto's cause, and they're like, he's right to like be so aggressive and violent because we have to like make our stand and blah blah blah. Comic book fans love that phrase, and then they turn it into a whole like Scott was right storyline too, right, and all that kind of stuff. But her saying that and like all the mentions of Genosha makes me think we're gonna see like a very intense sequence where we still don't really know Magneto's motivations, right? He seems to be playing by the rules and, leading the X-Men and doing what Charles wanted him to do. But he's still like, he can't say the word coexist.
Right.
He still hates the idea. And I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to it forever. He's going to snap at one point.
I still believe that he's doing this still in a bad way. Like, I
It's
think
all-
he's
it's all a
like,
setup.
I'm still doing this for my boy. I'm
Right.
doing that out of respect, but I also, like, he's just doing it in a horrible way. He's taking his own path to reach that. And I think once they do get to Genosha, it'll be a bunch of mutants that agree with him. And then it's going to be like, who agrees with Magneto and who doesn't. And I would hate that egg on her face, but, like, I would hate for the reason that Jubilee is with him and on his side is because he was right about not playing video games.
Not
like,
going to the
that
arcade.
is
Yeah.
because compared to, like, Rogue, it's like, yes, they have a past and it could be kind of manipulative. Or it could be, like, I don't know. And then it's like, if they go to Genosha and they see how the mutants are existing and what happened to Storm, I could see Cyclops being like, well, yeah, they don't care about us. Like, but
If you can turn Cyclops.
I was gonna say, I don't think you can turn. You can turn Jean. You can easily turn Jean because you can just clone Jean. But you can just clone Jean.
Just make genes, make it a gene.
Make a
Like,
Jean and then make her crazy. But Cyclops, I think, would be really hard. But I could see with, like, if things like how Eric is saying, if things just keep getting darker and darker and harder for them, the weight of it is going to be crushing. Like, Storm already lost their powers.
Yeah.
So it's like, he probably feels guilt, like, I couldn't even protect her.
Yeah.
Like, I had to leave to go take care of a baby. And
Charles-
then you're leaving me for Wolverine. And then Charles is now dead. I can't lead this team. But he is, and he's not evil anymore. So maybe he's right.
Charles is gonna come back from space, like fully healed, walking. And it's gonna be like that meme of Donald Glover walking in with the pieces, and like the whole room's on fire.
And he's like,
where he's like, "My X-Men, what happened?
Yeah.
He's like,
What happened? I left Magneto here. What's
they're
going
like,
on?"
he showed us the will. He's like, that's fake.
That's fake. You didn't
That's
even
a
read it.
fake
You didn't even open it. There's nothing inside of
There's just
it.
blank paper. He's
There's a cutout for a whiskey bottle in here.
Scott, and now you wonder.
You
I
idiot.
said
why you're
April
not
Fools
leaving.
at the very end. I said April Fools.
It was, and then sorry, Magneto's just like
You got me.
flies up to the sky.
It keeps going.
Got any cheese? Okay, folks. Here at the After Show, we play a game at the end of every episode. We always do it. We never forget. It's our most important thing, and producer Evan loves it the most. For the X-Men, we do the Student of the Week. That is the mutant you think performed to the height of their abilities this week. It's no joke who is going to be for your boy, Brandon B. He's giving it to Jubilation Lee. She killed it. Both versions of her killed it this episode. Finally, we saw some real pour from a girl.
I think I'm gonna give it to Sunspot.
Okay.
Psych,
for his-
I'm giving it to Jubilee.
I was angry. I was angry.
I only had one arm.
I know, that's why I'm like,
He
it's
goes
Jubilee.
like that.
And they're like, "Good job, you did
like,
it."
Guys, stop
say
being
You
mean.
deserve a kiss.
Why are both all
These
of you?
powerful women over here holding hands,
guys-
creating
No,
plasmoids.
100%. She uplift. Good for her. So happy.
Yeah.
He overcame his fear. He is a little boy.
He went,
Stop it. You guys are weird.
I hope my mommy didn't see me.
He's afraid.
My mommy will be so
There might
mad
be
if she knows I'm
TVs.
gonna
They're oh, you guys. They're babies.
Who's your student of the week, Tom?
I'm gonna give it to Gambit.
Okay.
He called out, was real quick to be like, "Can I get a cappuccino?"
If you're
Are we-
taking
if
orders.
If we're taking orders, can I get a tall mocha whip with?
I love a cold foam.
No,
love a cold foam.
with 2 pumps.
You said Gambit. I looked at you so weird because I was like, Gambit wasn't in this episode.
He was.
And then I remember
Barely.
in the beginning, Magneto said, I give the order.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like,
I was
thankfully, I give the order.
He said, I'm cunty.
Because Gambit's past his other secondary mutation, I think, is passive aggressiveness.
He's playing it cool. He's really playing it cool.
Fine taking it. Like, because remember that when she came running in and he was injured, he was like, oh, it's okay, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Gambit good now. Yeah, exactly.
Well, he did say a little cream in your comment. Here's the deal.
I just need to know what's
Don't
happening
take a
with that.
drink from a man that you didn't see get made.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? That's
That's
all
true.
I'm going to say for everyone.
So not
Unless he's your
Gambit's?
boo.
It doesn't even matter. Even your boo. Don't trust your boo. Have all drinks made in front of you.
What's
at all
going on
times.
here today? What's going on here
Just be
today?
on alert. Just be on alert.
I agree with you, but You have made me drinks, and I trust you.
You're safe. There you go, Jessica.
Yeah, what's some of that, by the way?
No, we put cyanide in it.
I just need to know what happened. I mean, that whole love triangle just got me like, when are we gonna address this?
Oh, they gotta give us
need
that
some
backstory.
screen time,
Gambit
and we
is
need this to be addressed, and we need Rogue to come clean.
And that's the thing is Gambit's just also mad because he's like, I just can't have sex with her, and like it's clear that like Magneto can.
Oh, man.
Before Gambit tries, he's like, let's hold hands. Just, wow, ooh, my skin.
Oh, you gotta let go, Sherry. Let go. Oh, let go, Sherry.
After, you know what's funny? After sex, the last thing I want is a plate of beignets. I don't want a pound of beignets. Get that away from me.
I'm like, Gambit is the man. I'm gonna start. I would need beignets myself.
No.
I'm gonna start making beignets. Be a little apron with a half t-shirt and be like beignet.
It's a lot of oil. I don't know.
Yeah, it's too heavy. I
I don't
can't
want to deal with all that.
Just a little powder
I don't
sugar.
want to deal with all that burnt
Bullshit.
oil. Anyway, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel right here on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch where we do these videos live. Tom, where can they find you on the internet these days?
You can find me on Tom on the mic on all the socials and watch Brother Son on Netflix. Maybe we can get it to come back.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Send a letter. Send a letter to Netflix.
Write letter. Don't email or
No,
social
don't
media.
email. Physical
Put
media.
it in the mail.
Physical
This deserves
media.
a stamp.
Yeah.
Bring us back.
Make sure to follow the Breakroom at BreakroomNR on all social channels. We'll catch you next time. Latest gators. Goodbye.
You didn't even ask where they can follow me at.
Do you want?
Yeah.
You want?
Pootie Tang,
All right.
Swifty32
All right.
on all social networks.